Hello, grade 12. Welcome back to the channel, Science Therapy, hosted by the one and only science therapist, Uabudiwa Sos, Ugwabela Maths. And you know, we are back with that mathematical literacy on tax rebates, that on point and straightforward lesson. Remember, we do not play here. It's all about practicing past exam papers so that we nail that exam. Right. So without any further ado, let's look at this question that we have here. Okay, so we have Miss Nande is a 53-year-old and earned a gross income of 39,486 per month during the 2021-2022 tax year. A non-taxable monthly deduction of 7.5% was made from a salary and paid into a pension fund, right? And then we are given table number 4 and table number 5. So table number 4 shows us our tax rates for 2021-2022 tax year, beginning from 1 March 2021 to 28 Feb. So that's our financial year. And then we have table number 5, which shows us our tax rebates, which we already understand that tax rebates, these are the reductions that SARS gives to the taxpayers, right? So these are the reductions in taxes. So if they were supposed to pay a certain amount in taxes, then they're given reductions or discounts, right? So we can just put it like that in simple terms. Then let's proceed to 2.3.2. It says, show by calculation that a person who was 75 years and older and earned 151,100 during the 2022 tax year paid no tax. So let's understand this, guys. We are given this amount here, which is not the monthly income, but then it is the annual income, right? So no one can get this money monthly, or maybe there are people that can get that money monthly, but then that's not the point. We are given 151,100, which is earned per annual. Now, there's a certain threshold that you need to reach in order to pay taxes, right? So not everyone who's working is actually paying taxes. We know that. So there's a certain threshold that you reach whereby now SARS can start taking their taxes from your money. If you do not reach that certain threshold, then SARS does not take anything from your earnings, right? Now, we want to calculate if a person earning that annual income, 151,100, and they're 75 years old, if they're going to pay any taxes. Now, the statement is telling us they paid no taxes. We must prove by calculation that they paid no taxes. How are we going to perform that calculation for 5 marks? Right. So this is what we do. Number 1, we are given 151,000. So it is important that we note, number 1, the annual income, because the annual income will help us to identify the tax bracket, right? So we have 151,100, which means they fall in the first bracket. Then number 2, the most important thing is the age, right? So how old? They're 75 and above. So let's say greater or equal to 75, right? So the age is 75. What does this tell us? This tells us about our tax rebate. So we want to know about the deductions that it will have on taxes, right? So the age and the annual income, they're important in this case. Now let's begin our calculation. Number 1, we are given 151,000, which we said is in the first tax bracket, right? So that means only 18% of his annual income, his or her annual income, can actually be liable to taxes. Then we say 151,100, multiply that by 18 over 100. Now we want to find out how much can he actually pay in taxes, right? So from his taxable income, 18 over 100, then we have 27,198, right? That means we can take taxes of this much, right? So had we had no tax rebates, this 75-year-old person would be paying annual taxes of 27,198. But whoa, Remember, we have tax rebates. Since we know that this person, if it wasn't for tax rebate, they should be paying this 27,198. Then we're going to take this money here, 27,198. And then now, because they're 75 years and older, they must get all this tax rebate. So they must benefit from the primary tax rebate, the secondary tax rebate, and the tertiary tax rebate. Note that you do not come here and only subtract 2,871. This person is 75 years and older. That means they went through the primary, the secondary, and the tertiary. So you must subtract all that money. So it's minus 15,714 plus 8,613 plus 2,871, right? And then now, when you perform a calculation for that, let's just add everything that's inside the bracket. We get that the amount is 27,198. Now, we can see that if we subtract this two, we will get 0. So a person earning that much in the 2021-2022 tax year, they would pay no taxes. Note that they would pay this much if it wasn't for tax rebate. But all luckily, to the tax rebate, they ended up paying 0, right? So they did not pay anything on taxes. Okay, so now we have 2.3.3 says, calculate Ms. Nande's annual tax payable. Now with this question, you have to understand one thing, right? Before we can get to that, let's look at the marks. We have a whopping 8 marks here. So that means there's a lot of work to be done. But then calculate Ms. Nande's annual tax payable. This is what you need to do. Go back here and then look at the statement. The statement will be your closest friend here. So these are the 3 things that you want to identify. Number 1, you are concerned about the age, right? So the age is 53-year-old, right? So Miss Nande is a 53-year-old employee. And then number 2, you are worried about the income. So whether monthly or annually, you want to find out about the income. But then it is very important that you check whether you are given in months or you are given annually. Because if you are given in months, then you have to subtract your pension fund contributions and then multiply that remaining amount by 12, because in order to identify the tax bracket, you will need to have an annual income instead of a monthly income, right? Then if you are given per month, you just have to consider that, put it in the back of your head that you need to multiply by 12 after deducting the pension fund, right? Then the income is monthly, so we have 39,486 per month. Right, so note that. Now, we know that the pension fund, so let's call it PF, is always 7.5%. So this is fixed, right? So you want to write it so that you are reminded every time that the first thing that you need to do is subtract the pension fund, right? Then another important thing that we'd look for is any medical aid credits. But then for this case, we do not have any medical aid credits. Then let's go back to the age. Why are we really looking at the age, 53-year-old? It's because we want to find out about the tax rebates. Remember, the tax rebates, these are according to the age, right? So SARS gives certain reductions to taxes based on the age of the employee, right? So if this person is on the primary, because they're 53, so primary is for 0 to 64 years old, right? So that means they will get reduction of 15,714 to their initial taxes that they have to pay. Now, since you have that, the first thing that you have to do, calculate the money that you have to contribute towards your pension fund, right? So we have 39,486, multiply that by 7.5 over 100. So now we are trying to find out how much does Miss Nande contribute towards her pension fund per month, right? So this is 2961.45 per month, right? So per month, she is contributing this much towards her pension fund, right? So in order to find the taxable income, in order to find the taxable income, that means we have to say 39,486 minus 2,961.45, right? And then we find that the taxable income per month is 36,524.55, right? So this is the money that gets to be taxable, right? Then now note, this is per month. So we need to find the annual taxable income. So what we work with in order to identify the tax bracket is the annual taxable income. So note what I do. I take this amount here, 36,524.55, and then multiply it by 12. Now this gives me an amount of 438,294.6, right? Now, since I have this annual taxable income, that means I can identify the tax bracket in which Miss Nande falls in. Now, looking at my ranges here, I can see that the best suited range is the third bracket, because we can see that this amount is in between 337,801 to 467,500, right? Okay, so now what do we do with this amount? We want to calculate the taxes now. So that's 70,000 using the rate here, 70,532 plus 31%, and then multiply that by what? Taxable income above 337,800. So that means we have to say 438,294.6. But then they only gonna tax an amount that is above 337,800 from your taxable income. So that means we have to take our taxable income and subtract 337,800 so that we find the amount that is to be taxed there, right? So not all of your taxable income will be taxed. It's only a certain portion of that. Then 31% off, if we calculate there, say 438,294.6 minus 337,800, then we find an amount of 104,994.6. So that means we want 31% of this amount here. We are looking for 31% of this amount plus the 70,536. Then let's calculate 31%. So the way I'm doing it, you must do it step by step like that, starting from here all the way to there, right? Then we have 31%. So now we are calculating this part. So multiplied by 31%. 31% can be written as 31 over 100. Then we have this 70,532 plus, from calculating that, we have 31,153.326. Now at this point, you take this amount, add it to the 70,532. Then we have 101,685.326. So this is the amount that Miss Nande would be paying to taxes. But then remember, we have what we call tax rebates, right? So what is tax rebate? This is the reduction on taxes that he has to pay, or that she has to pay. So that means if we have to subtract our tax rebate here, then we're going to end up with, we have 101,685.326. Then since she falls within the primary tax rebate, we want to subtract 15,714. And then we are left with 85,971.326. And this is the amount that she would pay towards her taxes per year. Note that this is per annum. This is per annum. Right. So, and that's how you would perform these calculations, guys. So make sure that you practice this kind of questions until you can understand them, and then just go through the video, pause and play it slowly, so that you understand it according to your own pace. Remember, that's the beauty of having to watch a video, because you can pause and try to do it on your own while you are checking your answers against mine. So make sure that you use this channel or this video here in a proactive manner, and just to understand the content that I post. So guys, if you have found this lesson helpful, please press the thumbs up button. And then if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, and then press that bell notification button so that you are notified of every video that I post. And most importantly, guys, do not be selfish. Share the video with your friends and classmates so that they may also be assisted. Remember, we are winning as a team.